Hey everybody, welcome back to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron. I didn't have any intentions of making this video today, but now we are. So my daily driver dually Pennywise, if you've been with the channel for a while, you've seen it in other videos, but it finally let me down. Not majorly, but this truck has been flawless the entire time I've owned it. Since I put this motor in it, everything's been great. Well, this morning I went out, fired it up. It's making a funny noise. I couldn't really tell where it was coming from, but it sounded like the bottom front of the engine. And I got to looking around, and I'm not sure this is going to fix the problem, but my fuel pump down there is spraying fuel out of the housing of the fuel pump. So it's really not good when you're spraying fuel on the back or on the sides of your engine. So what the heck, 90 degrees and humid out today, let's stand outside and change the fuel pump. But I've had other parts I've been collecting for this thing. I've got an Edelbrock Performer intake manifold that I've had laying around for a while. It's funny, my buddy over at Sibley's Customs in Columbus was the only one that had a fuel pump in stock for it, so I ran over there to see him and picked up a fuel pump. And while I was there, I've had about 4 sets of valve cover gaskets on this thing, and this is the second set of valve covers, and they're always leaking. It doesn't matter what I do. Seems like every time I do something else to try to seal them up, it makes them leak worse. So while I was overseeing Mr. Sibley today, I got my fuel pump, but I also got some thick cork valve cover gaskets and a new set of thick aluminum valve covers, because the best luck I've had with Chevy valve covers not leaking is thick aluminum valve covers with thick cork gaskets. So tired of playing around, we're gonna upgrade. So I'm gonna go in and see if I can find this intake sitting in my mess here on a shelf somewhere. Yeah, it's right over here. So it's Edelbrock RPM air gap dual plane for all the people that keep giving me a hard time about running single plane intakes. There you go, there's your dual plane. So I've been carrying that thing around for a while. It came over with me from Texas and everything else, and I've been waiting to get something else running to use as a daily driver so I could take this thing down and work on it and fix some stuff it needs. It needs a wheel seal on the rear end, needs a power steering pump, needs some stuff, and I was holding off on pulling it down. But since I gotta work on it today to replace the fuel pump anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do all that stuff, and I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. So right now I'm draining the coolant out of it, and we're gonna let it drain down, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, while I wait for the coolant to drain, I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling stuff off of here. We'll get the carburetor off, we'll get the distributor pulled out, unhook everything that needs to be unhooked from the intake, so on and so forth. You'd think I'd do the fuel pump first since that's the actual problem, but we'll get to that some other time. I'm just doing this because I have the stuff. I mean, the valve covers I definitely want to replace because they're leaking, obviously. Leaking bad. And the intake I'm mainly just doing because I have it. I mean, I'm not looking to get more performance out of it or anything like that. This truck's always ran great. I just have it and want to put it on, so we're putting it on. That gasket's in pretty good shape. Make sure we reuse that one. Alright. I'm going to take the rotor off so we can see where the distributor's pointing. That way when I go back in with it, we can try to stab it back in the same spot and not have to bring the motor up to TDC and all that stuff. And just kind of see where it's at. And it's pretty close. But I already pulled the wires off, and I don't know which one was on number 1. So we'll probably just do it the right way anyways. So that's what I get for not thinking before I do stuff. Pay more attention. Alright, but now we can pull the distributor out. There we go. hopefully this radiator's drained down far enough that I can pull this hose off without getting coolant everywhere. Yep, that one is. That out of the way. Loosen up our alternator so I can take the bracket off of it. Man, that sucker's in there. Probably disconnect our battery too while I'm at it. Alright, we're making progress. I'm trying to work around this thing the best I can. It's still pretty hot, but I don't think it's really going to cool off extremely much. So now I got dogs barking at me. But I'm going to go ahead and pull these valve covers off. I'm really hoping in my elderly state I got enough left in me to lift this big cast iron intake off top of this motor. Alright, there goes one. I'm really interested to get the intake off of this thing because every time I pull the dipstick in this thing or look at the oil or anything, it's clean, like it never gets dirty. So I'm curious to see what the inside of the valley looks like. Inside the heads here, I don't know how well you guys can see it. Probably not very well, but I'll before I put everything back together, I'll bring the other camera out and get in close. But inside the heads, it looks like a brand new damn motor. Like, it's not dirty at all. Go ahead and get this other one off too. Alright, got the other one off. Now I'm going to go and get my stuff together and start pulling that intake. Alright, pop this front bolt off and get this alternator bracket out of our way. And just go through and take all the other intake bolts out. Alright, think we got all the bolts out. Alright guys, what do you think? Think I'm going to be able to pick this thing up out of here? Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Well, I got it out. And I'm really impressed with how clean this is. Down in here, other than a couple leaves that just fell in when I pulled it off. Alright, that's off. We're gonna, that's why this thing's leaking so bad. They use those dang little rubber gaskets on the china walls. Okay, I'm gonna get ready to clean this up a little bit. And I'm gonna go and get the other camera so I can show you guys up close how clean the inside of this motor is. Got it all torn down. Took apart as little as possible to do it, but look how clean this thing is. It's insane. Looks brand new. And I put this motor in this truck, but I took it out of a square body wrecker that I had. And sorry guys, I gotta sit down and take a break. I'm sweating pretty good. Took it out of a square body wrecker that I had, and the story was the old man that used the wrecker pulled this motor out, rebuilt it, put the old water pump back on it. When he got it all put back in and hooked up and running, he fired it up and the old water pump started leaking, and he was tired of it and pissed off, and he parked it in the corner at the scrapyard that he ran, and it sat there for like 25 years. And then I got the wrecker. When that guy passed away, I got it from the family and drug it out of where it had been sitting for 25, 30 years. And got that story. So I fired it up, and sure enough, water pump was leaking, so I put a new water pump on it. Built that carb, rebuilt that carb that's on there and put it on, got it running good. And it sat for another probably year, maybe two, in my yard, because I never got around to doing the other work that the wrecker needed to be able to drive it. And then it came time for needing this truck right away, and the motor that was in it was no good. I yanked that 454 out of that wrecker, put it in here, and it's been that way ever since. Didn't do anything to it, literally just threw it in. And because it sat for so long and all that stuff, I've got some oil leaks and whatnot, but I'm thinking that might even be the original fuel pump from '73 that's on there, because it, if not, it's been on there a long time, because it's an old looking fuel pump. So it's served its duty. I've probably put, I don't know, maybe 10,000 miles on this motor, and so it's had 10,000 miles since a rebuild if all the stars line up and the stories are true. But it's pretty dang clean for 10,000 miles. But then again, when it pumps out a quart to 2 quarts of oil every tank of fuel, I guess it keeps clean oil in it all the time, huh? So we're gonna try to fix that. I want to get it sealed up. I'm tired of it leaking all over my driveway and having to dump oil in it every time I put gas in it. So I'm gonna go get it cleaned up, and we'll start putting her back together. All right, I got my intake cleaned up halfway decent, and by that I mean I took a can of brake parts cleaner and rinsed all the dust off of it. I scraped all the old gaskets off of the motor, put silicone around the 4 coolant ports, put my gaskets on, and then ran a heavy bead of silicone across the front and the back. Time to set the intake in. All right, I'm gonna try to set this in as straight as I can so I don't move my gaskets or nothing. And Get a couple bolts started in it, make sure it's lined up and the gaskets are right. Alright, got that back in and started. I'm going to let it sit and let that silicone tack up a little bit, and I'm going to go inside and cool off in front of a fan for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll finish bolting it down. Alright, I got the intake all bolted down. It's tight, permanently mounted. I got some carburetor studs put in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the new valve covers put on so nothing else leaves or nothing falls in the motor. I've told you guys before, the best way to do it is put studs in, and then your gasket just sits on there, and you don't have to worry about lining nothing up. So I'm going to go ahead and screw all my studs in here. Got all those valve cover studs in and tightened down, and when I was over at Sibley's this morning, I told them that I wanted some thick cork gaskets like 7/32 because those are the ones I always use. Well, pretty sure these are more like a 1/2 inch, but that's fine. The thicker the better. They should seal really well, so I'm going to go ahead and get these put in. I don't think there's any possible way something could leak past this if I tighten them down good. I like these, I've never seen them before. As long as our studs are long enough to put the valve cover and a nut on them. Might have to back the studs out just a little bit on a couple of them. Just enough that I can get the washer and the nut on there and get full contact. But I got to take the valve covers back off and put the baffles in them because I didn't pay attention and I didn't do it. So we're going to pull them off real quick and we will put the baffles in, we'll throw them back on and pick up where we left off. Alright, I got the valve cover baffle in, and I got all the nuts started. I'll go ahead and suck these down. Because the gasket's so thick and the flanges are so thick on the valve cover, I can go ahead and crank on them pretty good, and I'm 99.9% sure these will never leak. But I guess we'll find out, won't we? You guys might notice I didn't take the time to clean up, paint everything like I normally do. For one thing, this is my daily driver right now. Well, that was a little tight. I guess we got to put another stud in there. It's my daily driver for right now, so I'm kind of more in a hurry to get it done than worry about cleaning and painting everything. And secondly, I'm going to I eventually want to redo this whole truck, so I can I'll be cleaning and painting everything then. I guess you can get these a little bit too tight. Luckily, I had to buy 2 of these stud kits because when I got them, he didn't have any big block kits. So the small blocks only take 8 for the whole truck, and these take 7 per valve cover. So I got 2 kits, so I got some extras. And I guess when I go to tighten them back down, I'll do it by hand. Alright, out with the old and what's the new. Alright, I've got these all on, so I'm just going to go ahead and tighten them all down. Alright, valve covers are done. Time to set our dirty, not gonna clean it carburetor back on there. Just like that. Don't think any of these nuts are the right ones. I guess we'll go back to the hardware store. Alright, carburetor's back on. Got a new gasket on the distributor, which in hindsight we probably should have dropped before I put the carburetor on, but you know. There we go. Got that all the way down, and that should put us pretty close to where it was. And I generally put number 1 spark plug in the same spot every time. So I'm going to do that, and we will see where it leaves us. I'm going to go ahead and button a few things up, put a little bit of small stuff on you guys aren't probably going to be able to see anyways, and we will get back in a minute. Well, got her all back together and running. Fuel pump's not leaking no more. We got that taken care of. And still making that noise it was making this morning when I started looking at it. So apparently the fuel pump going out was not the cause of the noise. So I'm not sure what it is. I'm gonna have to look into it more, but it seems like as the motor gets warmer, it dies down and goes away. Not completely away, but it dies down. And so, I don't know. I think I got the timing set pretty close. Running pretty good. I mean, all things considered. So, and I'm completely beat. It's late in the day. And I really didn't even plan on doing this today. When I stand back here, I hear the noise louder. Maybe my exhaust is coming loose or something. I don't know. Fuel pump needed to be changed anyways. It was leaking. I've had that intake for 2 years to put on this truck. Finally got it done. I know the valve covers aren't going to leak anymore. Like the heads are already drying where the oil was running out. So I think we're in pretty good shape other than that noise. But like I said, once it warms up, it kind of goes away, which makes sense with the exhaust. It starts expanding from heat and quiets down. So maybe next time I feel like looking at this thing, if it's still running, I will crawl underneath it and check the exhaust out. But got a little bit of work done on her today, had a little bit of fun. She's running, so appreciate y'all watching. If you're not subscribed, please do. If you are subscribed, share with your friends, leave me a comment, hit the like button, ring the bell, all them things. Like I said before, if it wasn't for you, there'd be no me. So y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.